Today on Locked On Red Wings, Steve Yzerman has radically changed the direction of this team, of this rebuild, and Scotty and I are all on board, and we are going to talk about it.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. I am a podcast producer for WWJ News Radio 950, and Scotty is host over at Locked On Tigers, as well as a freelance journalist for the Detroit News. And Scotty, we have a lot to get to today, so pleasantries aside.
What a day.
I don't care how you feel. I know how you feel.
You know what?
You feel great.
That's fine.
Well. So, right off the bat, man, get into the biggest signing. And we knew it from last night. And Bob McKenzie, the night before, said, look for these names and these teams when noon hits tomorrow. Honestly, I think we got to make fun of ourselves a little bit. And because no one we talked about as our realistic options for the Red Wings in yesterday's episode got signed by the Red Wings. And
no one we gave, because when we did these breakdowns for free agency and such, there was a lot of, it's all hypothetical, right? And we did, the top end talent that was going to be available and whatnot, and then just kind of nitpicked the further down ones. And admittedly, Kopp is one we probably should have looked a little bit more into just because of the hometown connection and two-way forward thing. But as a whole, I'm not sure any of these dudes were dudes that 2 weeks ago or last week or whatever, when we were trying to make these hypotheticals, that we should have been how did we not think of that? I think Stevie just went crazy today.
He went crazy. Absolutely. In all the best ways. Andrew Copp, I honestly thought going into this, when I heard that they were going to make that signing, my initial reaction was, well, no crap. I felt dumb that we didn't say that because he's an Ann Arbor native.
That's the one where we should have looked more into it.
We should have known that because it makes so much sense after looking at it. We did mention him months ago, maybe at this point, where we did our free agent overall broad preview, but we didn't do an in-depth look at him, and we should have, because Ann Arbor native, went to the University of Michigan, was Dylan Larkin's captain at the University of Michigan. Where now Dylan Larkin, and he joked about this at his introductory press conference, now Dylan Larkin is his captain here with the Detroit Red Wings. Kopp signed a 5-year, $5.625 million contract. He played a lot of wing with the New York Rangers, but I think with the Detroit Red Wings, he'll probably play more center because that's where the Red Wings need the most help. And I think on the Red Wings team, he is a fantastic center. This past year with the Winnipeg Jets / New York Rangers, he had 21 goals and a total of 53 points in this past season, which I believe is a career high. Got some Selke votes, really very comparable to who we wanted in Vincent Trocheck, but you got him for the same term, or not the same term, same money, but 2 years less for a guy who's also 2 years younger. Yep. So comparable contracts, Kopp is definitely the way better deal. I really like this deal also from the standpoint, Scotty, that Andrew Copp not only can provide a decent production from a second line center, but is also very well renowned for his defensive capabilities. He's very good on both sides of the puck, which is why he got, 1 or 2 Selke votes this past season, because this team's biggest issue outside of positional needs was team defense. And that's been addressed time and time and time again this offseason. And Steve Yzerman clearly went into today's free agent frenzy with the plan in mind: improve team defense, because a lot of the signings he made address just that problem. And Andrew Copp is, for so many reasons, the perfect signing.
I couldn't agree more. This is a fantastic move in my eyes. And there's a lot of reasons why, like you said, you pointed out a lot of them. He's such a good defender as a forward. This is a team that had, Swiss cheese defense. And so to bring in somebody who's going to play whatever, 18 to 20 a night and be able to provide just big time plus defense in the forward position is beautiful. Center depth also, like all the boxes you wanted to check, you got almost all of them checked in one player. Like this is, and I'm not trying to hype this dude up to be, like a Hart candidate, obviously, but like he's not even going to be on our first line, but this is a guy who's going to be very, very solid defensively. He's going to be really solid offensively. And when you surround him with now pretty solid scoring depth, and we'll get into some of the additions that we made, plus what we already had at the forward position, we have some dudes that can put the puck in the net, and him being in the center of all that is going to be fantastic. And the biggest thing is, like we keep talking about, is obviously the defense. But my favorite part, I guess, of this signing is the special teams. The special teams has been such a catastrophic, honestly, failure for the last several years. And this past season, it was an absolute train wreck again, like it was 2 seasons ago. And now we have a guy who has the potential to be unbelievably solid on the penalty kill. I mean, this is a team that last year, the penalty kill, honestly, the power play also, both special teams were just really bad.
Yeah.
And so, we got some dudes to kind of help the power play that we'll talk about later in the show. But this is a prototype of what you want on your penalty kill. Just the amount of boxes he checks, the amount of holes that he fills in one signing cannot be stressed enough. I could not say enough good things about this signing.
And again, the player cards we're going to show in today's episode are courtesy of Evolving Hockey. Make sure you guys go there, you subscribe, because their in-depth data on what makes these players tick is phenomenal. As you can see with Andrew Copp, he is 82nd overall percentile among all forwards in the NHL at goals above replacement. So he is in the top 18% of all forwards. And like Scotty was saying, his special teams is what makes him so dynamic. You can see here that he was fantastic shorthanded on the penalty kill, got some power play time as well. That's why his defense is so special. Not only is he good at even strength defense, but it's really special teams on the penalty kill where his defense tends to thrive, which is why he's so highly rated defensively. This is the first signing, and this signing especially. So, like, even beyond Kopp himself as a player, this signing moves the needle so much for the Detroit Red Wings because, one, Andrew Copp was one of the most sought-after free agents this offseason. Granted, he's from Michigan, so that probably made it easier to get him at 5 years, a little over $5 million per season, which, again, guys, you usually have to overpay for free agents. This is not necessarily an overpay. He just turned 28. So you're going to get him for his entire 28 year, his entire 29 year, 30, 31, finishing out in 32. So his contract's going to be up as he exits his prime. Meanwhile, you're paying him a little, somewhere between $5 and $6 million, which is not the worst contract in the world you can give a guy who is going to be your second line center, especially when you look at Vincent Trocheck, who's getting paid the same per year, is 2 years older and got a 7-year contract with the New York Rangers. They could have kept Kopp. Well, granted, if Kopp wanted to leave and go home, that's a different thing altogether. Much like
they interviewed
much like how
him.
Gaudreau wanted to go home, but
right. Well, that's a whole different thing. Yeah, but they interviewed Kopp on, I think it was ESPN's coverage of the trade or of the free agency starting, and he said that he didn't even really hear from New York, and it was pretty clear that they didn't even want to make too much of an attempt to bring him back. And he was like, "Yeah, it's gonna light a fire under me a little bit. Like, I'll admit it." So, like, it's just coming home. We love a dude that's got a fire lit under him. Like, I'm really pumped. This was such a, nonetheless, of what followed, which is more really solid signings that we're fans of. But just an incredible way to start off the day, because that immediately, like I said, check, center depth, offense, defense, special teams, like that immediately checks so many boxes all in one, whatever, $5.25 million signing.
So there's another big thing with this Andrew Copp signing that I want to touch on before we move on to our next player. But today's episode is brought to you by Athletic Greens. This next sponsor is something that you guys got to take literally every day. Come on now. What are we doing? What is this stuff? With one delicious scoop of AG1, you're absorbing 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food-sourced superfoods, probiotics, and adaptogens to help you start your day right. This special blend of ingredients supports your gut health, your nervous system, your immune system, your energy, recovery, focus, and aging, all of those things. It's lifestyle-friendly, whether you eat keto, paleo, vegan, dairy-free, or gluten-free. Tons of people take some kind of multivitamin, and it's important to choose one with high-quality ingredients that your body will actually absorb. Athletic Greens was created when the founder experienced a ton of gut health issues and ended up on a complicated supplement routine to recover. It cost him $100 a day. Athletic Greens has over 7,000 5-star reviews recommended by professional athletes, trusted by leading health experts such as Tim Ferriss and Michael Gervais. Right now, it's time to reclaim your health and arm your immune system with convenient daily nutrition. It's just one scoop in a cup of water every day. That is it. No need for a million different pills and supplements to look out for your health. To make it easy, Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of immune-supporting vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/NHL Network. Again, that is athleticgreens.com/NHL Network to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance. Segment 2, Locked On Red Wings podcast. We're talking about the free agents that the Red Wings have signed. And Andrew Copp, I had one more thing I wanted to get to on this signing. And I kind of hinted towards it about how this moves the needle and how it's a good signing. The reason it moves the needle is, one, not only is he a great player and the contract's good, 5-year contract that Steve Yzerman has signed Andrew Copp to. That has huge implications for 2 reasons. One, because he has never handed out a contract this long in his tenure as the Detroit Red Wings general manager. And that signals my second point, which means, guys, this team is done tanking. We were speculating that the Red Wings might just get a lot more Band-Aid pieces and drag it out because Connor Bedard is going to be in the next draft. And he's supposed to be an absolute stud. Like some people are saying, generational talent level prospect. But were the Red Wings going to be bad enough to get there? Steve Yzerman says no. This is a clear indication that this team is looking to take not just a small step forward, but a competitive step forward. With the signing of Kopp to a 5-year deal at that value, Steve Yzerman is saying it's time to make a push to become a competitive team and try and make a run at the playoffs. And that is compounded with every other signing he made today.
Absolutely. No, I think it really is a turning of the page here. And I think that this is
good Bob Seger song.
100. Absolutely. It's a sign that, yeah, I mean, everything you said, like, I'll just echo everything you said. Like it's very much a sign that intentional losing is over. This is intent. We had 32 mil in cap space and spent 20 plus of it. Like that is not, you don't do that for fun. You do that with intent. And there were a lot of lengthy, 4 or 5 year deals mixed in there too. This is intentional and it's game time.
I love that you just mentioned that too, that he spent about $20 million in cap. Because when you count in the Ville Husso signing that they made after they traded for him in last week's draft, they spent $25 million of their $35 million. I think officially they have about $11 million left, and they still have to extend Larkin, extend Bertuzzi, and sign their RFAs, which will eat up a lot more of that remaining cap. But they are going to have plenty of cap left with maneuverability and tons of expiring contracts this next year. So I want to bring to the forefront that just because Steve Yzerman spent $25 million, he didn't spend to the cap. He made this team radically better without spending to the cap and leaving himself plenty of maneuverability.
Leaving like
this
10
next
mil,
offseason.
which is right. 10 mil. And like the 10 mil, like you said, will be eaten up a lot by some re-signings and stuff. But there's a lot of people say it doesn't exist. Cap manipulation is a big thing. And we have every resource possible to do a lot of that as well. It's it's fun. I'm just really pumped.
You look at the UFAs for next year as well. So you have 11 million right now. Again, some of that's going to go away because of extensions, although those extensions won't even hit the books until next season.
Yeah.
You have Nedeljkovic is going to be a UFA. I would expect them to re-sign him.
Yep.
Steven Kampfer will be a UFA. Osterley will be a UFA. Olli Maatta will be a UFA. Adam Ernie will be a UFA. Oscar Sundqvist will be a UFA. Pius Suter will be a UFA. I expect a Bertuzzi and a Larkin extension, so I'm not really worried about that. But all those guys I named, Sans, Alex Nedeljkovic, can be moved or let go and improved on. So while you spent $25 million and improved this roster radically, it can be then further improved on next year. So you think this year is a step in the right direction? Steve Yzerman has left himself open for so much more next offseason. And that is such an exciting facet of this free agency, that this team still has so much space to grow on the roster.
Absolutely.
But that's not even talking about any of the players they signed. I mean, that's just overall.
What do you want to talk next?
Oh, that's a good one. Either David Perron or...
Let's do Perron.
You want to do Perron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do Perron. Because that's fun. Like that's just
one.
like objectively fun. So that's 2 years, 4.75 AAV. He's 34 years old. Like that's great goal scoring winger depth, and like that's just awesome. And it's only this is another signing that will slap you in the face as like, hey, losing's over. He's 34 and you sign him to a 2-year deal. You don't sign 34-year-olds to 2-year deals with the intention of, oh, we're playing for 3 years down the road. No, that you do those moves when you were intending to win now. And this is a dude that is a good defensive forward. Again, another solid defensive forward and helps the offense a lot. I am very excited. This signing makes me very happy. I would expect, honestly, quite a few of the free agents we signed today to all be on the ice at the same time quite frequently. I think there's a lot, that this is kind of filling out the second line. You can play Perron. We have a kind of question mark-ish at like left wing, whether Bert is going to be up there or stay at the second line like he was last season. So there's some stuff you can do, but I don't know. I love this move as well.
I love it too. The initial reaction a lot of Red Wings fans have is, oh, he's 34 years old. I didn't want anyone this old. This is something that people got to understand.
2 years.
David Perron, not even that. I mean, yeah, 2 years is great because it's really not going to hurt you in the long run. But he's been consistently second-line level production his entire career. You just mentioned it a second ago. He scored 27 goals last season with the St. Louis Blues. At 33, 34 years old, in his age 34 season, he scored 27 goals with the St. Louis Blues. Granted, a lot of that came on the power play, but that is a good thing for the Detroit Red Wings because what did they lack this season? Power play goals. He is a power play goal machine. He's a shoot-first winger who flies down and will take a shot as soon as he gets on his stick. But he's also defensively responsible at 5-on-5. You see here on his chart, the thing is that his expected goals above replacement at 5-on-5 was much higher than his actual. So you can expect that his goals above replacement to actually probably be better this season just by the fact that his expected goals were so much better than what his output would be. This screams that he was probably just unlucky in a lot of cases. But you see that power play offense. This is a guy who's going to go on your offense, on your power play 1, power play 2, and he's going to bring goals. And that's another thing this team needs. Yzerman went out of his way to get defensively responsible forwards, but didn't also forget about the fact that the team needs to score more goals. It's just an incredibly savvy move.
What do you want out of special teams? You want a guy that can score and that is sound defensively. There you go. David Perron. Welcome. You are a Detroit Red Wing. This is, again, when we talked in our pre-free agency show and like what this team needed and everything, he checked every box like 2 or 3 times over. You know what I mean? It's awesome. It's awesome.
So again, going back to what you were just talking about with those boxes specifically were for us things that we said. We mentioned it with Derek Lalonde in his introductory press conference episode. The 3 things for us that this team needs to do to get better was center depth, special teams, and defense. And so far, these first 2 signings have been exactly that.
Yep.
Andrew Copp has been center depth and special teams and defense all in one. David Perron is not center depth, but he's special teams and he's defensively responsible. So like those boxes are getting checked every step of the way. So I absolutely am. I'm in love with the David Perron signing too. I don't care about his age. He's been consistent his entire life.
Let's talk about your favorite signing of the day next.
We'll do
your favorite, and then we'll do my favorite.
All right, sounds good.
All right.
Got to talk to you guys today about Built Bar. Before we can get to that, though, from the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift. There we go.
There you go.
You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given coconut brownie chunk the Puffs treatment. That's right, the coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor you love in a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud of coconut brownie goodness. But stop drooling and listen. They are good for you. Low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and all delicious. Coconut brownie chunk puffs are only here for limited time. Go to Built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. The best part of Built Puffs is, of course, they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free because they are actually good for you. They're the perfect treat, perfect when you've got a craving, you need to satisfy your sweet tooth, or if you need a quick, healthy snack. They are an excellent source of protein. Delicious coconut, rich, sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. Get to Built.com to order your box of coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs right now. You go to Built.com, use promo code LOCKED15, and get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at Built.com. Final segment, Lockdown Red Wings podcast. I got a sneaking suspicion, Scotty, this is going to be a two-parter because there's just so much to cover with a lot of these guys. We're going to get to the three biggest names, I guess, here in this episode. And that third biggest name would be Ben Chiarot.
Oh, okay. We're not doing our favorite ones. Okay.
Hey,
let's do Chiarot. Let's do Chiarot.
When you said your favorite, I assumed you were being facetious with the way I interpreted it.
I was not, but Chiarot is a guy. If we want to pick just three to talk about in this one, Chiarot is one that needs to be addressed for sure.
Yeah, I genuinely thought I interpreted that as you like sarcastically.
No, I actually wanted to hear your favorite, Brian.
Right. My sneaky favorite, who we'll talk about in tomorrow's episode now because there's a miscommunication.
Yeah, we'll talk about my favorite tomorrow too because we're getting to three. We made so many moves. We're getting to three guys today because that's all we have time for. But Chiarot is a yikes. So this one, this is the one head scratcher of the day for sure. I think most people kind of have this have this. I don't want to say blind, but this belief in Steve that whatever he does, it's going to work out usually more times than it's not. And, Chiarot at what was it? 4 years, 4.75 AAV.
Yes.
That's, not a little amount of money and not a little amount of years for a guy who kind of fell off a cliff production wise this season. I think a lot of things can be true here. I think that he can still be productive in a winged wheel. And I also think that you can be like, why are you giving this money to a non-first line defender? I think that both can be true. Like both sides can be true. We don't have to be so black and white about it. I think that there is a role that he fills. I think, kind of a physical, kind of a bruiser type, maybe can stand up for some guys like Giovanni Smith is really the only dude that your head is kind of on a swivel on if you're the opponent while you're out there. And he got healthy scratched a lot last season. So this is, So this is a guy that is going to be in the lineup every single night and is going to bring some, wreak havoc in front of the net and all that kind of, I don't know, intangible stuff, I guess. But, the production the last couple of seasons, especially this past year, has been, let's call a spade a spade. It's been really brutal.
Yeah, this is an interesting signing. So he's 31 years old. His contract will be up at his age 35 season. $4.75 million for a guy who just, by all advanced metrics, is not very good. There's clearly some kind of disconnect between the hockey community and what general managers see, because this is a guy and
for a first.
He got traded for a first round pick at the trade deadline, and now Steve Yzerman.
And now we gave him almost $5 million over 4 years.
Yeah, it's there's clearly something that we are not seeing as the hockey community that Steve Yzerman and the rest of the hockey elite think of this guy, and I don't get it. You see here, if you're watching or if you're listening, I'll describe it to you. He is a 2% overall goals above replacement. His offensive rank is 32%, and his defensive rank is 1%. While Scotty was talking, you probably heard me go, ooh, well, that was because I changed it to 3 years. I'm like, okay, well, he's been better in the past. That did not make it better. It made it significantly worse. 3 years, over the past 3 years, he's a 1 percentile defenseman overall.
His defense is a 10 instead of a 1, but the offense is a 12. So
it's not good. And it's not just the goals above replacement metric either. Jay Fresh posted his hockey stat card on Twitter. Check out Jay Fresh. His stuff's great. He's an 8 percentile at wins above replacement. This is a guy who's ranked at the bottom of the league in all the advanced metrics. And the only reason I can see him getting this money in this term, like, this is the first test I've had in my Steve Yzerman faith, was this signing. When they said he was close to being signed with the Detroit Red Wings, I was like, okay, if it's a short term, not a lot of money.
No, I agree. I would, like, if it was a 1 or a 2 year deal for whatever, like 3-ish mil, I would have been like, all right, that'll be off the books quickly, provide some physicality.
But he's here a while. He's like essentially part of your core.
Yeah, he's 31, and you're going to have him until he's 35.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's value here in his game. I'm not trying to say there's not, but 4 years, 4.75, his value is exactly what you said. He's a big physical guy who plays hard in front of his own net. There is value there. And these advanced metrics don't necessarily take that into account, and that I recognize.
For sure. I mean, this objectively, we could have paid him $1 billion. Objectively, this defense is going to have size. This is going to be a big a big and or physical, I should say, defense. Like, this is going to be a much more physical and have a lot more size on the blue line than we've seen in a while on this team. And yeah, he'll protect Seider a little bit, protect Larks and such, which is nice. It's just,
he's the highest paid defenseman on this team right now.
Right. and he's already in his early 30s. It's just, this is like I said, I think a lot of things can be true, and I'm not trying to just be like a blind apologist for whatever. Like, if you think that this is just a horrible signing, there's no justification for it, that's totally your right. But I just think a lot of things can be true. I think that he can provide some, like, possibly, hopefully valuable minutes as, like a second line defenseman. But I also, it's a lot of money. And I think, like, you can scratch your head at the fact that we paid a non-first line aging defenseman coming off a pretty brutal last 2 seasons production wise, the contract we did, but also realize, he might still be able to provide us some production down the line.
Well, and I have this, and that's, you said the thing there that is the issue with Ben Chiarot, is he's been consistently put into a position to be the first pair defenseman where that's not what his role should be. But I have this gut feeling that that's going to be his role on this Red Wings team. As the left-handed defenseman and the veteran, I have a feeling he's going to be paired with Moritz Seider. And I don't necessarily think that's going to be an awful pair, just because I think they could complement each other. But we just got done with the season pairing Moritz Seider with a veteran who underperforms his contract. And now it's just like, so again, Steve Yzerman has a certain level of clout in the hockey community, not just amongst Red Wings fans, but amongst NHL players as well, that I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And he could have just found a diamond in the rough. Every move he's made thus far, like I've said before, has either benefited the Red Wings or at the very least not hurt the Red Wings. And that is what you want to see at a rebuilding team. This signing was the first time my faith's been tested. And again, I think there's value in Ben Chiarot in the fact that he does provide at times some dazzling offensive plays. He's a good skater, and he's not afraid to use his size in front of the net, and I think that is important. But to pay that $4.75 million across 4 years is just a real tough pill to swallow.
It's a tough sell. But as they say, that's why they play the games. Only time will tell. So
yeah.
we'll I'm sure it'll be a topic of conversation pretty much every single game night throughout the first year of his contract at least. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, definitely one that we're gonna have to see to believe.
Oh, it's gonna be interesting. But I kind of hate to end the episode on a more pessimistic note. Overall, Scotty,
I'm beyond excited with the day.
I love
still several more signings. We'll do a part 2. We'll finish up tomorrow and talk about the rest of the moves, or if we make more tomorrow. And we'll get to all of them. But I mean, I am beyond excited, and like we talked about at the beginning, the biggest thing is really just that we're trying to win, and
yes.
It's been a while since really any Detroit sports team period has really had that mindset. So really excited.
This is a turn for the better for the Detroit Red Wings. I mean, everything we said throughout the episode about the aggressiveness, showing that they're done tanking, the fact that they still have a ton of maneuverability within the cap after all these signings as well. Seahawks are going to set this team up to take a huge step forward to compete for a playoff spot, but also left them room to get even better in the future.
I know we got to get out of here, but I also want to say that with all of the talent we brought in, I am pretty confident a forward is getting moved.
Oh, yeah. No, we didn't even talk about that. Especially with all the left wings.
We can talk about it more in depth, on tomorrow's show when we do the part 2. But I'm like pretty darn confident that we are going to move forward. And I don't know if it's like, it's obviously not going to be Larkin, but like, I mean, Bert's due for an extension. Like that would be a kind of a crazy one, but you'd get a pretty sizable return. Or like the easy one that everybody loves to point to is just, it's Zadina, because like that's the easy target. And there's honestly a few more that like
Adam Arnie could get moved.
Right. Like it's not just as simple as those two dudes. There's quite a few guys on this team that could, but I am, after just day one of free agency, I went from we'll see what happens to someone is getting traded.
Pretty much. So yeah, we'll do a part 2, and we'll cover the rest of these guys that got signed. I kept wanting to say traded because now we got trading on the brain. The rest of these guys that got signed, as well as anyone else who gets signed. That was a long vocal pause. I hate that. God, dude. Did it again. We should probably mention that Marco Kasper signed his entry-level contract before we sign off. There's not much there with that, but he did.
Hey, we'll take it.
Red Wings were also cheeky about it, too. They waited until exactly noon to announce that because they knew everyone wanted them to announce the Kopp trade. And so, of course, exactly at noon, they announced signing.
What are you doing?
Got trade on the brain. The Andrew Copp signing. They waited till exactly noon to announce the Kasper signing. That's cheeky as hell. But anyways, I love my Red Wings.
Can't wait for the fall, man.
Oh, October can't come soon enough. Be back with you guys tomorrow for part 2 of this. Same time, same place. See your team every day.